Welcome to my tutorial for Terraforming for the PC Engine CD. And this is a weird game. It's really unbalanced difficulty-wise. It took me around 3 hours, 20 minutes to beat on the normal difficulty. I spent around 2 hours just on the final stage and final boss. So the bulk of the time was spent, in those areas. I believe it took me around an hour and 8 minutes to make it to the semi-final stage. And then the semi-final stage was pretty tricky too. That took a little while, but not too long. Most of the time was really spent on that final stage. So the main thing I'm going to detail in this tutorial is how to take down the final stage. And the semi-final stage I think will be worthwhile too. There's a lot of good techniques here that'll work. But the final stage is probably going to be a section that can give players a lot of trouble, I would think. So I'm going to break that down. I found some safe positioning, semi-safe spots, and I found a way to one-hit kill the final boss, which I haven't seen anywhere else before. I was able to figure that out with safe state practice, isolated safe state practice on the boss. And I'm always looking for exploits, and especially in this case because the bosses are really fucking irritating in this game, and the final boss, may be one of the worst. It was just fucking irritating me, the amount of hits that the boss takes and all this other bullshit, and the projectiles are really fast. I'm sure there's a pattern to them, but I just couldn't be bothered. So I spent a lot of time trying to perfect this one-hit kill method. It's very anal and specific to do, and it's not going to be like something that all players are going to want to actually try to do on a real run. But I was able to pull it off, and there are videos of players dodging the lasers and fighting the final boss the proper way. So at least this will show something a little bit different. A lot of times I do go for strange methods and shit that I find, because I'm just looking to beat the games and get them on my kill list. And if I get really fucking annoyed, I'll start to try to exploit the shit out of the boss. A lot of times that is the first thing that I end up doing when practicing with save states. I'm immediately looking for positions and bullshit I can pull and things like that. But this was probably the hardest, pixel perfect positioning that I did to try to exploit one of these games. So this one's tough to pull off. But I will show the execution of it. I'm going to show it executed about 3 or 4 times properly, and then I will show what actually happened in my legit run, where I actually lost several lives trying to pull it off, but I did end up getting it. I didn't get it on my first life. But the way this game works is that when you lose a life, you respawn right where you died, but you only have maybe 3 or 4 default lives per stage to beat that stage. But you have infinite continues, so if you lose all your lives, you will respawn at the beginning of the stage. You'll have to start the stage over, but you'll have your 3 or 4 default lives. The game is pretty generous with 1-ups as well from points. But the issue with that is that you can rack up a lot of 1-ups and you feel like you're in good shape until you realize that this game will pretty much fuck you if you're not powered up. So you'll lose those lives real fast because you'll die in one hit and you won't be able to defend yourself from all the bullshit. One of the best power-up to get in the game is the blue homing lasers, which I'll show later. But for this boss, these bosses are kind of bullshit. They don't really show good indications of when they're being damaged. And I thought most of the bosses were pretty bullshitty. But for this guy, you basically just shoot at his front. You want to look for some flashing, which may not be showing in the video, but I believe he does flash when you hit some of the proper areas. Or there may be a change in the sound or something like that. It's not really clear. But parts of the boss will break away as you destroy them, so that will at least give you some indication. But you want to fire in these general areas that you see me firing at. And see, now the brain is exposed. And then once you remove some more of the brain, he'll die. But it's pretty much if you fire head on, you can block some of his shots like you see me doing here. So that was my idea. I was just trying to block the shots. And I think this guy, I don't know if I had to retry the stage to beat this guy. I don't think he was too hard. But the bosses become bullshitty later on, especially later. One boss I spent way too much time on, but it's still in the video, so I'll show it. It'll definitely give me some time to explain some other shit, because it's really drawn out. So yeah, you see a game over screen there. I left that in because it just shows that I didn't succeed on the next stage. So now this is the beginning of the stage with a fresh set of lives. Most of the stages I'm showing with a fresh set of lives. They're not I didn't beat them back to back in most cases. I usually died. So this is with a fresh set of lives from, no starting power-ups, just as the game will be when you hit continue. So this stage, it starts off kind of shitty. You have like these areas that go dark, and then there's this black smoke or fire that you see a silhouette image of, and you got to dodge that, but it's kind of unpredictable. It's all spastic and shit, but I think it follows the same patterns each time, so it's just more of a memorization thing. Eventually you'll probably have an idea of where to move, but it's just kind of bullshit. It takes up most of the screen. It's just kind of spastic. And a lot of the projectile patterns are just really fast and spastic in the game. But when you are, as you power up your ship, it means you can take more hits. You can also play around with your ship's speed. If you look at the top, there's like a single icon up in the middle. That's the lowest speed. But later on, I was using the fastest speed for my ship. And that can be good. If you're good at controlling the fast speed, it gives you an advantage because you can dodge shit a lot easier. And you can move and grab stuff a lot easier. So it's better to get better at that speed, but you may want to play with that. I was playing on the slow speed for a while. I didn't really, because I wasn't having too much trouble at that speed. But later on, I wanted to be able to move faster. So this blue homing laser, you collect these blue dots, and this gives you the blue homing laser beads, or whatever you want to call them. And it's one of the best weapons for the actual stages. It's not great on a lot of the bosses because it's kind of weak. But when you power it up, it really clears out enemies ahead of you. So it makes the stages way fucking easier. If you can you want to try to collect as many of those blue orbs as you can to get it fully powered up. And along with that, I like to get the green thing to power up my laser. So I get the green and the blue. And that's what I collect for most of the game. I think there's one exception, but I would recommend getting the green and blue power-ups for most of the game. And you're going to see how it really clears shit out. And then, from that point, you can get better with your positions and stuff once you know what's coming up. Because there's certain obstacles you can't destroy, obviously, like this smoke or fire or whatever it is. But I like to stay up in this upper area here. Maybe about 2/3 into the screen. And it gives me a good little vantage point with the homing. And I don't think I took too much damage hanging out up here. So as long as you have, decent homing or whatever, you can probably do pretty well up here, at this point. But grab these power-ups. That's the fully powered up version, which is great. This guy was a pain in the ass initially. I didn't really even have it down, but what I did was I just kept moving up and down while firing my shots and trying to focus in on these stupid tentacles that come up, and that ended up working out. So I got kind of lucky, but I was like, I didn't really have a good strat because they really home in on your position, and it's pretty bullshit. But by moving up and down constantly, I guess it confused it enough, and I got lucky enough. So I guess this would be my recommended strat. It worked well. Sometimes it's just really hard to actually try to visualize stuff in this game and actually dodge it because everything moves so fucking fast. So, sometimes I just got to find general, tricks and things like that seem to work. Instead of looking at the lasers and actually trying to move and dodge them because they're really fucking fast. So that would be what I'd recommend for that. And for the actual boss, I'm sure, the red lasers or something similar might even be better because they're more powerful instead of the blue homing thing. But the problem with that is then you got to switch your weapon right before the boss, which is not always easy to do. And then when you start, I guess it doesn't matter when you start the next level unless you're going for a 1cc because you can just die and, get your power-ups from the beginning of the level. So, now this time I think I carried over 6 lives. I got some extra lives on that stage from doing well. So I have 5 or 6. It's really hard to read, but it's in the upper right corner. But the numbers are written really weird. I think it may be 5 or 6 lives. This might have been one of the rare incidences where I beat the stage without having to restart the stage. Since I carried over some extra lives, I was doing better than if I started the stage on default. But, at the same time, I didn't have any practice on the stage or anything, so I think I just improvised. So this stage probably wasn't too difficult since I was able to beat it on the first try. It is kind of fucking spastic, though, looking at it now. Shit does get pretty wild. The last stage is really, really fast, tons of fast projectiles and dense shit everywhere. But I found some positionings and things, and I was able to beat that stage without taking any damage. But then on the boss, of course, I did die several times. I didn't get the one-hit kill right away that I was talking about. But I'm going to show that. It's like almost like a suicide maneuver, but if you do it right, you won't die. But it's super dangerous. And it's not going to be nearly as easy as it looks. If you want to see how hard it is to pull off, you can watch my practice session of just the final boss practice session, which I'll link in the description, and that shows how fucking tedious it was to even get it to work. But I just kept grinding it, and eventually I was able to do it more frequently. But it would still take me a while to get it to work again. So every time I would have to beat the whole stage and then get there and then hope I could pull it off. And, of course, I failed several times, but I did get it. When I did get it, it was kind of sloppy, though. I didn't get it on my first life. I had to die several times. So things do get pretty wild in this stage, I see, but at the same time, if you're collecting power-ups, you're kind of keeping yourself alive, since depending how powered up you are, I believe means you can take more hits, because each time you get hit, I think you power down a level. I think that's the general idea. So if you're collecting more power-ups, you're kind of keeping your health up, basically. And you're keeping your weapons, more powerful, which you also want. So for this part, I really dragged it out. I'm not sure why I paused it here. I might have been shaking my hands out because they were kind of going numb. But this part's really drawn out. I took way too long on this boss. So this is going to be really fucking drawn out. I did figure it out, but because I beat the stage on my first try, I didn't know what to do on the boss. It's not very clear how to hit these stupid fucking bosses, so I started up here, and of course I took out that first orb with my homing shot, as you see, and I was able to actually block all the attacks of the boss by just staying above it. So that makes that part of it very easy, but the problem is I wasn't really damaging it by doing this. So I was doing this for a while before I wasn't really sure how am I going to hit those things on the side, because there wasn't a lot of room. I didn't really want to go down there. It looked dangerous. I was thinking maybe that's what I had to do, but at the same time, it's like, how am I going to shoot the one on the right side, because I can't really shoot behind me, but maybe I can with the homing weapon, but it's kind of bullshit. So if I don't have a weapon that doesn't shoot behind me, it seems like I can't hit the boss. So I, was looking at it. I'm like, is that really what I'm supposed to do? And then I figured it out. I don't remember exactly how it went, but we'll see eventually. It's just going to be drawn out. The only footage that I altered in this playthrough from my original playthrough, my original edited playthrough, of course I didn't leave all the 3 hour and 20 minute of death in, but I showed all the stages from the beginning, basically, my playthrough. But the only footage that I stitched in for this tutorial, since it's a demonstration video, it's not meant to be a straight-through playthrough or anything. But, I stitched in my properly executed footage of the final boss one-hit kill. So when I show it here, you'll see that I do it on the first try. But then I'm going to show at the end of the video, I'll show how it actually went in my actual run. So I'll show a few different versions. So now I'm finally shooting this thing on the sides, which is what I had to do the whole time. But I was dragging it out for a long fucking time. And I still have a lot of lives at this point. So I guess I did pretty well on the stage. And I'm probably going to carry that over into the next stage. I may not game over on the next stage either. I just have to see what stage it is. But it's also, even if you have a lot of lives, it's really easy to just lose them all, because if you don't have any power-ups, you just can't defend yourself pretty much. You're pretty much fucked. I mean, maybe if you did some insane dodging and memorization, you could survive, but it wasn't realistic for the amount of time I spent on the game to have it, memorized like that. So now I'm shooting the other side by going, down to the right, obviously, but it does seem like if I didn't have the homing shot, like if I lost my power up because I got hit or something, I wouldn't be able to even fight that back part of the boss. It doesn't seem like you can hit it unless you have a homing shot that goes backwards. So it's kind of bullshit. I just felt like the bosses were kind of shitty. They were all kind of shitty. I mean, the concepts are not bad, but it's hard to tell what the fuck is going on. So yeah, I did continue. Yeah, I died on that stupid boss of this level. This is another bullshit boss, but we'll see how I was able to do it. This is the one instance where I use a different weapon for the boss, so we'll see that. So this is from a fresh start on the stage. And this stage is kind of tricky. It's not the easiest thing. Try to dodge everything, obviously, but try to keep getting the power-ups as much as you can just so you can take those extra hits. I would recommend using the homing shot for the actual stage and then switching your weapon right before the boss. I believe there's an opportunity to switch your weapon to the red lasers right before you get to the boss, so that's what we're going to do. But for the actual stage itself, you want to have the homing blue laser. It just makes things a lot more manageable. For these things that shoot a straight laser straight up, just be aware of where they are on the screen, because they're going to just fire a straight laser after a certain amount of time each time. I think they always fire at the same amount of time when they appear on screen, but it's going to be different every time. As far as where you are on the stage, it's going to vary. The best thing to do is to try to take them out before they fire that laser. That's the easiest way to deal with them. But if you're not powered up enough, you won't be able to do it. But if you get a chance, try to prioritize them as soon as they spawn on screen, so that you don't have to dodge that laser. They're like those little these turret things that are shooting straight up. Ideally, you want to take them out immediately. As you can see, you can do it. You see, I'm starting to take them out a little bit more now. You want to do that from the beginning if possible. I should have done that earlier. But I didn't really have the stage down that well. The boss was giving me a lot of trouble though. I did save state practice on the boss, and I recommend doing save state practice on any of the bosses that give you trouble. Just make a save and then go back and just practice it. And then, just suicide, and then you'll start the stage over. That's what I do on these games. I always beat these games legit, so I'll just suicide, but I will practice sections. I have no problem with practicing sections to learn games. So I'll do that, but then I'll suicide out. So now we're going to switch to the red power-up for the first time, which is going to give us the straight lasers, the red lasers. So the idea is to try to take these wings out as fast as possible. You got to take both of these out. There's tiny projectiles that are super hard to see that will kill you. It's bullshit. It's just shitty. But once both of the wings are out, see, with the red lasers, you can take the wings out fast. Then this part is kind of bullshit. Like, it has these huge things that take up the whole screen. And I usually get hit by them. So it was just kind of bullshitty. Like, they're fucking huge waves. I mean, I'm sure I could have dodged them if I learned it more, but it just feels like kind of a shitty boss. And, the bosses take quite a bit of hits. It just feels like sloppy shit to me, but I would just try to beat it however I could kind of bullshit my way through, But once you take out the wings, at least, now you just can focus on the head. But it may be close. You see I cut it down to the wire. So maybe you can dodge a little bit better than that. But if not, you can maybe still bullshit your way, brute force your way through. In this tutorial, I'm pretty much just showing how I succeeded. There's not much refinement aside from the showing my best attempts in practice when I was one-hit killing the boss for my practice session. I spliced that in on the last stage. But aside from that, this is pretty much how it went down on my successful attempts on the stage. I think my hands were going numb, so I was shaking them out a little bit. This stage is kind of tricky. It has some bullshit enemies that will jump up in the air and go off screen, and then they come back down in weird areas. So it's hard to predict. So my recommendation is to get the homing shot, or and use your green laser when possible. Use anything, but take out the enemies that jump before they have a chance to jump, and it makes it a lot easier. But it gets wild near the end, so you're probably not going to be able to clear them all out because there's some narrow passages with a lot of bullshit. So use those extra power-ups to maybe take an extra hit when you need to. The boss for this stage, it's not too bad, but it's kind of tricky. But it's not too bad. It's just kind of a pain because you block its shots with with your shots. That's the strat that I use. But sometimes it will get really close and try to crush you in on the screen, which is a little bit annoying. But it's relatively easy. See, the frog jumped up in the air and then it comes down in some weird area. Same with the spiders. So if you can, try to kill them before they jump. It's a lot easier once you get your homing powered up, which is what I recommend going for. The blue homing laser. Here I'm trying to avoid the weapon, but you can't really get it unless it comes out of the pod, which is an annoying thing about the game as well. When the weapons are like trapped in that little encasement, you can't get them. So the problem with that is that like when you die, it gives you a chance to grab it, but it takes too long for them to come out of the capsule. And I think you got to shoot them out of the capsule too, but by the time they come out of the capsule, a lot of times you just die before you can grab the power up. Because like I said, you're pretty much defenseless if you're not powered up. You know, shit is just really fast and aggressive in the game, and you just die in one hit. So you can drain lives really fast. You know, even if you've accumulated a lot. The game is generous with giving you 1-ups on points, but which is good, I guess, for a 1cc. But you know, at the same time, the lives are kind of worthless until you grab that power up. I mean, you can lose 3 or 4 lives just trying to grab a power up sometimes. So it doesn't always mean that much. So it's going to get pretty dense and aggressive near the end. You see, it's getting narrow now. This is where it gets hard. I usually always get hit in this area. But as long as you have some power-ups, you can maybe tank a few hits. See, I already got hit twice in here, and it's probably not, you know, I may get, well, no, I think I might be safe now. But yeah, get the homing. And see, I'm not that powered up, but you don't need to be for this. Just stay head-on with it, and you'll kill all the homing missiles that come out of the front and damage it at the same time. But when you see it getting to a certain range, like after this, the next movement is going to be time to move to the back of the screen. And get up in that upper right corner and then just kind of move down. That will lure the homing missiles to come up at you, and then you can go down and get under them. I think you have to lure them like that. At least that's what I was trying to do, and it worked. I stay up at the top to try to lure them in a group, and then I move down. But see, I got hit there because it was so close to my ass. So I was able to grab the power up, I think, at least, so that helped. If you get hit with a few lives, you should be able to get past this guy fairly easily with this strat. But it's still a little bit annoying. Not as bullshitty as the other bosses, though. You know, it's one of the easier bosses, less annoying bosses, but I still use save state to practice it. I didn't really know exactly how I was going to do it when I first got to it. I think I redid that stage a few times before I beat it. It wasn't easy. So this stage, I think this stage went down on the first try. I don't think I saw a game over screen edited in that time, so I think this was a first try, so I didn't have any practice on this. This was all improvised. I didn't have any extra lives this time either from the previous stage, so this is pretty much how it would look if you continued from a fresh start. But yeah, I remember this stage being kind of a fucking easy stage. I don't remember this being too aggressive. I think it's a lot easier than some of the previous stages, so it's probably like a little bit of a break. The background is kind of irritating. It makes it kind of hard to see shit, but aside from that, you know, keep getting your power up. Stay with the green, you know, upgrading your green little arrow shot, and then, you know, and also your blue homing laser shit. That's what I would go with. That's what would work the best for me. Getting the other weapons was pretty much just a fucking waste. I mean, because enemies would swarm me and hit me from my foot. There'd be enemies hitting me in my fucking ass. Like, this game breaks the rules, you know, of like, you know, you're not supposed to have enemies appearing behind you in a shooter. You know, it's kind of like good shooters don't really fuck around with that for the most part. But, you know, this game, you know, it's fucking kind of a sloppy game. It's alright, though. It's not a bad game. It's alright. If I was going to rate it, I'd probably give it something like a 6 out of 10 or something. I mean, it's not actually like bad, but it's, you know, maybe average to just above average, nothing special. But the boss fights are what really bring it down. The stages are all right. As long as you keep your power-ups, you know, it's kind of fun. But the final stage was a pain in the ass. I mean, in kind of in a bad way. I had to like memorize weird positions and stuff. I didn't think it was like, it didn't feel great to me, but you know, most of the stages are decent if you keep powered up. But the bosses are shitty. I mean, you know, It's not the first shooter that I've ever played, and I didn't really like the bosses too much. I don't like when it's not clear if you're damaging the bosses, and then they have weird hitboxes, and you gotta take this part out, take that part out. It's kind of unclear sometimes. It's just not very well done, Now, this is the Japanese version of the game, but the AI tells me on Google that the U.S. version is the same. I would have played the U.S. version first. I didn't know there was a U.S. version on the Turbo CD. I'm playing on emulation, obviously, but I would have played that version. I always go with the U.S. versions first, but apparently they're like the same difficulty. No differences from what the AI tells me. But, of course, the AI also said that there was a TurboGrafx 16 hue card of this game, which doesn't seem to be the case. At least I couldn't find it on my emulation setup, and I should have all the TurboGrafx PC Engine games on there. So let me know if there is a hue card version, or if there's any other ports of this game. I'll be glad to try to beat them. I usually try to clean out ports of games. So when I beat one, I'll usually go and try to bang out all the ports for the kill list. It helps. That's one way to get a high volume of games on the list. So this guy, not much to say. I mean, when he opens up, you can hit him in the middle, but I try to circle around for the homing missiles and, use my regular shots to take him out. Now, there's a mechanic in the game that I haven't mentioned because we're not going to use it until the last boss. But if you don't fire your weapon, you get some kind of weird shield on the front of your ship. And it's weird. I don't even know what the fucking point of it is. I don't think it absorbs bullets or anything. I don't think it does. But it will actually damage, and it can suicide bosses. It's really fucking weird. Like, I've driven into a few bosses and killed them, but I never actually did that on my actual successful attempts at a stage. So I don't demonstrate that until the final boss. That's where I really learned about it more. I guess now that I know how that works, I probably could suicide some of the bosses. Maybe even drive into them without killing myself like I did on the final boss when I fucking did it right. You'll see me fuck it up as well. So this is the semi-final stage, and this stage is tough, but there are things to make it more manageable. But it's pretty tough. The boss isn't too bad, but it's spastic, But it's not too bad. It's not easy, but there's a way to prioritize it to make it a little bit more manageable. So here we're doing the same shit. We got our homing shot, green laser, and we're just kind of taking shit out as fast as we can, for the most part. It would help to be more powered up, but they don't really give you a lot of shit at the start, I don't think. So here I like to move up along the top and kind of circle around all that bullshit, because I couldn't take those guys out. There was no way I was taking all those assholes out with my weak shots. So we're going to get this. Now we're getting the specific weapon here. Get the red laser for this part before the screen turns white. And the reason we're doing that is because there's an excessively long asteroid section that's like pretty much way too fucking long. But, that's what we got to deal with here. So it's kind of annoying. If you don't have the right weapon, you start getting hit like crazy and killed, and then you don't have any power-ups, and then you just get annihilated. Because you won't be able to grab power-ups in time, and you'll just get destroyed. So you want to have, I would say, the green, have your green laser powered up if possible, but also the main thing to have is these red lasers on the, as the sub-weapon or whatever it is on the pods. And, I just do a slight up and down motion. I kind of stay in the middle-ish area, upper middle-ish a lot of times, but I will alter my path a bit if I want to collect something. The thing that I would want to collect is either my green laser or my red. Even though my green might be maxed out, I probably didn't really need to collect that, but the red one is not fully powered up, I don't think. So if I can get that, I want to get that, because that makes it even easier to clear out the asteroids. So now we're going to switch weapons again soon. Now we're switching back to the homing. So just be ready to make these weapon swaps for these strats. The reason I want the homing again is for this bullshit. This goes on for quite a while with these guys that just kind of spawn into existence. And the best thing I found to do is to kind of circle around so that they don't spawn right on top of me. It seems to help a bit. The ships that look like they're not in the background, I think those ships are in the background. I don't think you have to dodge those, if I remember right. And I was kind of trying to avoid them because I didn't really trust them. They don't really look like they're in the background to me, but I think they are. So you just want to kind of do like little circle motions. Don't go crazy with exaggerated movements or anything. Just try to move slightly, but, try to keep moving. And I mean, I didn't really do it great, so maybe you do need to do bigger movements. I don't know. Maybe that would be good, but I was not doing well. I did better at this part when I had a stronger homing shot, the blue weapon, but it was weak. So I like to stay slightly above or below this guy and fire at him so I avoid his laser, but the trick here is not to do that. The way to really deal with this guy for me was to prioritize the enemies whenever they appear. So whenever you see these stupid ships spawning in, just kill them first. It will make it a lot easier. I'm playing like shit here, but it did work better for me when I took out the fucking enemies. But this was just like a fuck fest. I just ended up barely beating this shit. So this is not going to be a great instructional on how you should do it. But, I guess you could win eventually if you play like shit, like I do here. Notice I get a ton of extra lives, like 3 extra lives just from killing this guy. That's going to be a theme for the final stage where you just get shit tons of extra lives. Like you can have like, I don't know, 7 lives by the time you get to the final boss. If you don't take damage like I did on the stage, but not the easiest thing to do. I'm going to break it down. This is the final stage. I'm going to try to break everything down here, so I might be talking fast. So first thing, get the green shots and the blue. Get them all. Max it all out. So get all your greens and all your blues. And here I was a little bit less than max. I could have had it maxed out, but I grabbed some other shit. Fucked it up. But it doesn't matter if you're a little bit less. So now you want to position yourself so your wing is touching that big laser, and just keep firing. And we're going to do this until the ship moves. It's a semi-safe spot. Now as the ship moves, we're going to wait to you might want to wait for the blue laser to fire, but you don't have to. Just move down. And now we're going to stay kind of under here, and there's going to be another safe spot coming up. A safe-ish spot. It's not really a total safe spot, but it's going to make things way fucking easier. I was getting annihilated in this area. I found a spot. So stay at the very bottom of the screen here and just move left and right. The reason we're doing this is because you will be invincible from the big lasers if you do this. You won't have to worry about dodging them, which is the hardest part of the stage pretty much. So, and there's going to be another laser section that's also very hard, but we got some strats. So stay down here. Now you're going to notice the blue lasers, the big ones, can't hit you if you're all the way in the bottom. The only time I'm coming up is to grab some power-ups, and the way I manage coming up is like I usually wait for 2 lasers to fire. It seems they fire in groups of 2. So that's when I'll try to make my moves to go up and grab the power-ups. So now let's nudge up here. We're using the homing to take this out. One reason it's good to kill more shit and parts of the ship is to get extra lives as well, because you're getting more points by doing this, Don't worry about these power-ups. You should be fully powered up. So just inch your way backwards, and we're going to take out one of the laser turrets. And by the time we do that, we're going to be able to move out of here, and the laser section is going to be over with, so we should be in the clear. So now we've avoided 2 laser sections pretty easily, and those are the hardest parts of the stage. So that's going to probably help you a lot. So now we got these stupid fucking turrets that are really annoying. I'm just trying to stay away from them, but I'm not going all the way to the front edge of the screen where the guys are going to ram into me. Somehow I managed to do this whole stage without even getting fucking hit, which, I got used to it, but I'm sure I got lucky too. It's pretty fucking hard not to get hit. But I guess I could have done it more consistently had I kept playing, but at least I got it here. So it came out good. But then I fucked up on the boss. But anyway, now the boss is coming up. I'm going to try to explain it. So this is how the boss looks if you do it correctly. Actually, it's not up yet. Make sure you be ready to take those assholes out with the spread shots. They're really fucking annoying. So now make sure you have your homing maxed out, if possible, and your green laser. Now what we're going to do is we're going to one-hit kill the boss. Don't fire your weapon so that a shield appears on the front of your ship. Now you see I spliced in that footage. Now here's what we're going to do. You want to, as soon as this ball fires, get in this specific spot, and it's a one-hit kill. It's very hard to do. Don't be deceived. But you can see it. I'm going to show it like 3 or 4 times. Watch. I do it again. And you can even do it from the top position. So watch this. Or this is the bottom. I don't know if I showed the top yet. Here is the top one. And you can even slide past that orb while it's present, but I like to wait for it to leave. But yeah, so that's how it looks when it's done right. You might have to study it and practice the shit out of that with save and load state. Just practice it. It's so hard to do consistently. So and I will link you to the practice session where you can see what I'm talking about, how stubborn it is to work. But I'm more stubborn than in a lot of cases. I'm really fucking stubborn. So now I'm showing, a little bit earlier in the stage again, just to show how my actual run went on the final boss. So this is what actually fucking happened. This is probably more realistic. Now, had I practiced it more, maybe I could have got it on my first try. I could have just kept trying until I got it on my first life, but I didn't care. Just wanted to beat the game. So here I'm trying to do it. I think I already got hit, so it was sloppy. And then I didn't even position myself right. See, that's how a bad positioning looks. Remember, don't fire your weapon. You got to get a shield on the front of there's a bar in the upper right. You got to make sure that bar is full. And see, it didn't work that time. Sometimes it just doesn't fucking work. And that's what leads me to believe that maybe I need to be powered up a certain way for it to even work. So maybe grab any power-ups you can as well when trying to do this. See, again, it didn't work. It didn't even seem to damage the boss at all. It wasn't flashing at all. It's really fucking stubborn. So you're seeing some of the failures here, and you're seeing me die, and you're seeing how difficult it is to actually do this. It doesn't, usually I'm really good at like these pixel perfect positionings, but this one was like really, really fucking anal. But I don't know if anyone has shown this technique before. I didn't see it when I was looking for videos to try to learn how to fight this guy. Now, I mean, if you want, you can practice this guy normally. If you don't want to be a fucking stubborn asshole like me, you can actually try to learn how to dodge his lasers and shit. But I said, fuck that shit. I didn't want to deal with that shit. I wasn't in the fucking mood. I was like in the mood to just grind this ridiculous method today. So I was like, fuck. Fuck it, man. Because it's like, the lasers are really fucking fast. They go on for a while. There's probably a pattern to them, but I didn't want to figure it out. And on top of that, the boss takes an insane amount of fucking hits. And if you lose your power up, it takes even more hits. It's super hard to damage. And you can only damage it briefly when that ball leaves the machine. That's the only time you can hit it. So, I said fuck it. I was just stubborn. I didn't realize I could kill the boss in one little position like that. It's not really one hit, but it's a bunch of hits from cramming in there perfectly from that shield on the front of your ship. I didn't realize you could kill it in one cycle. But then I actually pulled it off. I was trying to do it. I was trying to get it on one cycle, and I was like, then it happened like once, and I was like, all right, shit, it is possible. So then I just kept grinding it. But it might not be ideal, but it is another thing that you can try if you're having trouble with it. I mean, at least it's another method. Unfortunately, I can't demonstrate, the normal way to fight the boss because I didn't do it. If you have any questions, let me know, and thanks for watching.